Jnana Yamuna Tira Vanajari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanajari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Jaya Radha Shyama Sundar Radha Shyama Sundar Radhe Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Vrindavana Dham Jaya Goranidai 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 Jaya Goranidai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमदभय शरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की व्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माई यमुना माई की भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की समवेद भक्त वृंद की all glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Today we are going to discuss Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, text number 1 and 2. So, आपका ही लगा घर छोटा है। इधर से तो नहीं होगा ये, पता नहीं हमारा उसमें चार पढ़ सकते हैं ना, ये पता नहीं छोटा हुई। ये आपके इसमें लगा के देखिए। देखिए, I'll read the text and then you all can repeat after me. Arjuna uvāca prakṛtiṁ puruṣaṁ caiva kṣetram kṣetra-jña uvāca etad vetti icchāmi jñānaṁ jñeyaṁ keśava. Two slokas are there, two texts are there, 13.1 and 2. śrī-bhagavān uvāca idaṁ śarīraṁ kaunteya kṣetraṁ etad veditum prāhuḥ kṣetra-jña iti tad-vidaḥ. इनपुट का प्रॉब्लम आ गए, उधर से आ रहे हैं। ओके ओके। अर्जुन उवाच prakṛtiṁ puruṣaṁ caiva kṣetram kṣetra-jñameva ca etad veditum icchāmi jñānaṁ jñeyaṁ ca keśava śrī-bhagavān uvāca idaṁ śarīraṁ kaunteya kṣetramityabhidhīyate etad vetti tam prāhuḥ kṣetra-jña iti tad-vidaḥ. Arjuna uvāca prakṛtiṁ puruṣaṁ caiva kṣetram kṣetra-jñameva ca etad veditum icchāmi jñānaṁ jñeyaṁ ca keśava śrī-bhagavān uvāca idaṁ śarīraṁ kaunteya kṣetramityabhidhīyate etad vetti tam prāhuḥ kṣetra-jña iti tad-vidaḥ. Can repeat. Arjuna uvāca prakṛtiṁ नहीं ये लगाइए kṣetram kṣetra-jñam etad icchāmi jñānaṁ jñeyaṁ ca keśava. śrī-bhagavān uvāca idaṁ śarīraṁ kaunteya kṣetramityabhidhīyate etad vetti tam prāhuḥ kṣetra-jña iti tad-vidaḥ. Okay, anybody else? Mataji? kṣetramityabhidhīyate etad vetti tam prāhuḥ kṣetra-jña iti tad-vidaḥ. नहीं रहा है ना, ये देख लीजिए उसको और एक बार ट्राई करते हैं उसको निकाल कर। वो हाँ यही मेरे से नहीं हो रहा है। ओके इस तरफ लगाइए। हाँ जरी ये जाना चाहिए। ओके Arjuna uvāca. Arjuna said, prakṛtiṁ, nature, puruṣaṁ, the enjoyer, ca, also, eva, certainly, kṣetram, the field, kṣetra-jñam, the knower of the field, eva, certainly, cha, also, etad, all this, veditum, to understand, icchāmi, I wish, jñānaṁ, knowledge, jñeyaṁ, the object of knowledge, cha, also, keśava, O Krishna, śrī-bhagavān uvāca, the Personality of Godhead said, idaṁ, this, śarīraṁ, body, kaunteya, O son of Kunti, kṣetram, the field, iti, tad, abhidhīyate, abhidhīyate is called etad, this, ya, one with, vetti, knows, tam, he, prāhuḥ is called kṣetra-jñaḥ, the knower of the field, iti, tad-vidaḥ, by those who know this. Translation. Arjuna said, "O my dear Krishna, I want to know about prakrti, nature, puruṣa, the enjoyer, and the field, and the knower of the field, and knowledge, and the object of knowledge." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and the one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." आगे नहीं आ रहा, नेक्स्ट आना चाहिए. Purport. Arjuna was inquisitive about prakrti, nature, puruṣa, the enjoyer, kṣetra, the field, kṣetra-jña, its knower, and knowledge and the object of knowledge. When he inquired about all these, Krishna said that this body is called the field and that one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. This body is the field of activity for conditioned soul. The conditioned soul is entrapped in material existence, and he attempts to lord it over material nature. And so, according to his capacity to dominate material nature, he gets a field of activity. That field of activity is the body. And what is the body? The body is made of senses. The conditioned soul wants to enjoy sense gratification, and according to his capacity to enjoy sense gratification, he is offered a body or field of activity. Therefore, the body is called kṣetra, or the field of activity for the conditioned soul. Now, the person who should not identify with the body is called kṣetra-jña, the knower of the field. It is not very difficult to understand the difference between the field and its knower, the body, and the knower of the body. Any person can understand that from the childhood to old age, he undergoes so many changes of body, and yet is still one person remaining. Thus, there is a difference between the knower of the field of activities and the actual field of activities. A living conditioned soul can thus understand that he is different from the body. It is described in the beginning, dehinosmin yatha dehe, that the living entity is within the body and the body is changing from childhood to boyhood and boyhood to youth and from youth to old age. And the person who owns the body knows that the body is changing. The owner is distinctly kṣetra-jña. Sometimes we think I am happy, I am a man, I am a woman, I am a dog, I am a cat. These are the bodily designations of the knower. But the knower is different from the body. Although we may use many articles, our clothes, etc., we know that we are different from the things used. Similarly, we also understand by a little contemplation that we are different from the body. I or you or anyone else who owns the body is called kṣetra-jña, the knower of the field of activities. And the body is called kṣetra, the field of activities itself. Yeah. Next, Prabhu. In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the knower of the body, the living entity, and the position by which he can understand the Supreme Lord are described. In the middle 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the relationship between the individual soul and the super soul is in regard to devotional service are described. The superior position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the subordinate position of the individual soul are definitely defined in these chapters. Next. The living entities are subordinate under all circumstances, but in their forgetfulness they are suffering. When enlightened by pious activities, they approach the Supreme Lord in different capacities as the distressed, those in want of money, the inquisitive, and those in search of knowledge. That is also described. Now, starting with the 13th chapter, how the living entity comes into contact with material nature and how he is delivered by the Supreme Lord through the different methods of fruitive activities, cultivation of knowledge, and the discharge of devotional service are explained. Although the living entity is completely different from the material body, he somehow becomes related. This is also explained. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya-manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpatarobhyasya Krupa Sindhubhya eva ca Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langaite girim yat krupatamaham vande Sri Gurun Dīnataranam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So anyhow, नहीं जा रहा है, आगे नहीं जा रहा, आगे हो गया है पूरा, ये आना चाहिए, हो गया है पूरा. So Arjuna asked questions about kṣetra-jña, kṣetra and other things. So one by one Krishna explains very nicely in a very technical manner. This 13th chapter is lot of technicalities in this, about the soul, about the body, about the field of activities of the soul, senses and all that. It's very important that you all should attend all the classes regularly so that it will be clear from Prabhupada's purports. Otherwise it is difficult to understand. So now Krishna here explains kṣetra and kṣetra-jña. Kṣetra is the body. Kṣetra-jña is the knower of the body. Knower of the body is, who is the knower of the body? The soul, Atma. Because we know, as Prabhupada has explained, when a child is very small, 1 year old, body is different. 6 years old, 8 years, 10 years, 15 years, 50 years. So body is changing, but what is not changed is the soul. So the owner of the body is the soul, so he knows that his body is changing. One person may apply a lot of dye, black, only black. Oh, very black hair. Even at the age of 70, 80, 90 also. Oh, black hair. But he may cover it. But he knows himself that the body is changing. Body will keep on changing. So here Prabhupada explains, I or you or anyone who owns the body is called kṣetra-jña, the knower of the field of activities, and the body is kṣetra. Now, next. दबाई? Okay, next नहीं आ रहा है. कुछ प्रॉब्लम है? Oh, no problem. इसमें नहीं आ रहा है. आगे बढ़े? ये भी कट हो गया क्या? नहीं यार. Okay, no problem. कोई बात. So as the Atma arrives on the earth, the moment it is coming on the earth, it gets a body and the soul is conditioned by the 3 modes of material nature. Conditioning means now you have entered this air-conditioned room. Nobody will ask you whether you want to get yourself cooled or your bag cooled. Your bag automatically gets cooled. It was hot outside. When you bring it, nobody is asking whether you want the bag to be cooled. No, it automatically gets conditioned. As per the condition, it becomes. Similarly, the moment the jiva, the living entity, arrives on the earth, he gets conditioned by the 3 modes of material nature. So, 3 modes of material nature make him, going on. So, these 3 modes of material nature make him act, dance, as per their domination. This is the thing. So, the 3 modes of material nature, as they condition, they affect the living entity. In 14.5, this is explained. Sattvam rajastamayiti guna prakrti sambhava nibadhanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion and ignorance. When the living entity comes in contact, the moment it comes in contact with the material nature, he becomes conditioned by these modes. So, it is just like, as I explained, just like sitting in the AC, the moment you enter, the conditioning effect comes. Somebody may feel very happy. 10 degrees, somebody had put, some fellow is enjoying. Oh, 10 degrees, oh, so cool. And other person is wearing sweater and he is suffering. Oh, so much of cold, it's biting cold for me. So this is the material nature's actions. Now, the moment the material modes are acting, material disease automatically is induced, infected. What is the material disease? Material disease is to enjoy the material nature. The desires, material desires, I, my, and sense gratification. So, Prabhupada explains, this sense gratification is the one which makes us to remain in this world. The only reason, if anybody asks why we are there on this earth, it is because of our desire to enjoy the senses, the sense gratification, satisfying our own senses. So we have very classic examples in śrī-bhagavān, how a person acting behaves under the conditions of working only for sense gratification. We see two examples today. King Yayati, śrī-bhagavān, Canto 9, Chapter 18, and Saubhari Muni from Canto 9. So, Yayati's history begins with this. Indra kills Vrittasura, and Vrittasura was a Brahmana. So Indra, when killed Vrittasura, he gets the sin of killing a Brahmana. So the sin, when it was behind him, he wanted to escape. So he hides himself in the stem of the lotus flower plant, lotus plant stem. He hides for some thousands of years. Now the seat of Swarga is vacant. The kingdom is without the king. Immediately, Nahusha, who was the king of the whole world, he becomes the king. He takes over and he becomes the king of Swarga, the heaven. When he became the king, he was so happy with all the arrangements, lot of sense gratification, lot of whatever he wants, he can enjoy. There is no problem, no restriction, anything, any amount. But the thing is, he gets attracted to Indra's wife, Sachi. And he wants to enjoy, he wants to have relationship with her, and he approaches. Now Sachima, the wife of Indra, approaches Brihaspati and tells him, you see, this king, Nahusha, he is trying to enjoy, he is asking me to come to him. So Brihaspati said, yes, we will teach him a lesson. You tell him that he should come in the palanquin which is carried by the Saptarishis. Then you tell him that you will accept. She tells the same thing. You please come in the palanquin carried by the Saptarishis. So, the Saptarishis, he orders Saptarishis to carry the palanquin, and because Indra, he is in the position of the Indra, the king of the heaven. So he is equivalent to Indra. They oblige. They all carry the Saptarishis. Beginning, in front of him is Durvasa Muni, carrying. Now he says, Nahusha is sitting in the palanquin. He says, why are you going so slowly? Go fast, move fast. I want to meet my beloved. Move fast, move fast. They move slowly. They are rishis. They never carried anybody, but just as an obligation, because the king ordered, they are carrying. Now this fellow, arrogance, because of the arrogance and the mind had become stolen by the material desires, so he pushes with his leg, you move fast. Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni looks back. What do you think of yourself? You got this post of the king and you are misbehaving with the Brahmanas, misbehaving with the rishis. You are not suitable to remain as the king. You become Python. Immediately he falls down. Nahusha, within no time, that's all. Nahusha, the king Nahusha becomes a python. Now again the thing is, it's vacant. Even the kingdom of the whole world he was ruling, now it had become vacant. So Yayati becomes king, his younger brother. Devayani, in the meantime, Devayani is the daughter of Shukracharya, Sharmishta is the daughter of the king. Local king, small king, who is under the emperor, Vrishaparva. These two, Sharmishta and Devayani, are very good friends. They all play. Once what happens, when they were playing, when they were taking bath and playing in the water. Next. This one. Shivaji was going with Parvati Mata. Seeing that, Sharmishta, the daughter of the king, she wears Devayani's clothes. And Devayani was searching, "Hey, where are my clothes? You have taken my clothes? You, Kshatriya, you are taking the Brahmana's clothes? How dare you are?" I mean, they are not so mature, but then she becomes angry. She is a Kshatriya. So she immediately, she feels, you think yourself to be very big, now I will throw you in the well. Who will save me? I will see. He thrown in the well. Of course, that well was without water and not much deep. Now, Devayani is waiting in the well. Yayati, while just going in the forest, he looks, "Hari, I'm hearing somebody calling." She thought somebody had come to help her. "Oh, I'm here, take me out. I'm here, take me out." She thought somebody had come. But this is King Yayati. Yayati looks at her and then she pulls her out. He holds her hand and takes her out. So she says, "You are holding my hand and took me out. You have to marry me." Then Yayati says, "I am a Kshatriya, you are a Brahmana, and you are Brahmana and daughter of Shukracharya, the most powerful person. And how it is possible?" Then Devayani says, "I got a curse from the Brahmana, Kachi, that I will not get any husband who is a Brahmana. So you can marry me anyhow. I don't get a husband who is from Brahmana Varna. So both get married, and Devayani puts a condition that Sharmishta should come along with him, along with her after the marriage to serve her. So Sharmishta, king's daughter, also moves along with Devayani. Devayani gives birth to Yadu and Turvasu. And Sharmishta also gives birth to Drukyu, Anu and Puru. Yayati marries Sharmishta also secretly. Now, when she came to know, Devayani came to know that this Sharmishta got married and she had got a baby, or even when she became pregnant, she becomes very angry and goes to her father, Shukracharya, and tells him, Father, this man, Yayati, even though he is a king, emperor, he got married, he married this Sharmishta. This man becomes very angry, Shukracharya. He says, you are a fool, blindly lusty person after the woman. Let all your youth be gone. You become a very, very old person. Now, he loses all the youth and he becomes very, very old. You see, Yayati was full of lusty desires. He wanted to enjoy in this world, enjoy his wife. So, he begs Shukracharya. 9:1837 of śrī-bhagavān. O learned worshipable Brahmana, I have not yet satisfied my lust desires with your daughter. So please help me. Shukracharya says, okay, you may exchange your old age with someone who agree to transfer his youth to you. Any young man, you ask him to transfer the youth, and okay, that much I can do. Now, Yayati felt very happy. He has got 5 sons, so anybody can help. You see how a person who is having the mind full of lusty desires behave. He goes to his son, my dear son, I am not yet satisfied in my sexual desires. But if you are kind to me, you can take the old age given by your maternal grandfather, and I may take your youth so that I may enjoy for a few more years. Now, he had 5 sons. Prabhupada explains here, sex and sense gratification can be controlled, however, and one achieves perfection when he has no desires for sex. This is possible only when a person is in Krishna consciousness, otherwise not. So, this is how a person with lusty desires behave. He doesn't feel shy at all. He loses all his sense. Now, when he asks Yadu, Turvasu, Drukyu and Anu, the 4 boys, they reject. Then the last son called Puru, with the Puru there is a big history. So he approaches. King requested Puru, the younger. Puru was a very good person, very good, matured, obedient. So he agrees and exchanges the old age with his young youth. So he becomes a very old person and his father becomes young again. Now, he enjoys for 1,000 years. Even then, he was not satisfied at all. In 1851 we can see, although Maharaj Yayati was the king of the entire world and he engaged his mind and 5 senses in enjoying material positions for 1000 years, he was unable to be satisfied. Then he starts repenting. Oh my God, 1000 years I tried to enjoy. I tried to satisfy my senses, but they are not satisfied. So I think nothing in this world can satisfy. So he repents. I have spent 1 full 1000 years of enjoyment, enjoying sense gratification, yet my desire to enjoy such pleasure increasing every day. Therefore, he says, therefore, there is no point in keep on doing this activity which doesn't give any output. Output is always zero. Input is there, output is zero. What is the use of such activity? He thinks, therefore, I shall now give up all these pleasures. Meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the point which we understand, which we have to understand clearly. Even though he was contaminated, even though he was having all the lusty desires in his mind, he started meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Free from the realities of mental concoction and free from false prestige, I shall wander in the forest with the animals. He goes to the forest and then he totally dedicated himself and he goes back to Godhead. So, Sukadeva Goswami explains, you see, he was so fortunate. Even though he was enjoying everything, he left in one moment. Such a huge kingdom. And he was totally surrendered onto the Supreme Lord. And he was freed from all contamination of the material moods of. Because of his self-realization, he was able to fix his mind on the transcendence, Vasudeva, Parabrahma, and thus ultimately achieved the position of an associate of the Lord. In the Vaikuntha, as an associate, he was able to achieve. So this is what it is. We all are also fully occupied with our sense gratification in our mind. If we take the lesson from Yayati, even though he spent, even though his mind was contaminated, ultimately he was totally surrendered to the Supreme Lord and practiced Krishna consciousness with total surrender. Then he was able to achieve the goal of going back to the Godhead. Saubhari Muni, when we take, Saubhari Muni also had the same problem. Saubhari Muni was under the water, meditating for years together, because outside water, lot of disturbance. Inside water, no disturbance. That was a very good idea. But one day, when he saw 2 fish making some loving exchanges, so he got attracted. He thought he should also enjoy. So the Rishi goes to the king. The king had 50 girls, 50 daughters. So he said, kindly get me married to one of the daughters. This man, Saubhari Muni, you see, all his matted hair, body shaking and all that. Now the king looks at him. He wants to marry, but this man is very, very powerful because he was doing austerities under the water for thousands of years. If I say no, there will be problem to my whole kingdom. So he says very intelligently, kindly choose. If any of my daughters choose you, I will get you married to that girl, no problem for me. Immediately, Saubhari understands. He wants that all the daughters will reject him. He changes with his power to become a very, very beautiful, very handsome young man. And then he goes, and when he goes to the daughters, all the 50 daughters, one by one, they say, I want to marry him. He is the most suitable person. You are not suitable. I am elder. No, I am younger. You must hear. There was a big fight among all the 50 daughters. The fight. Now king comes and says, what is this going on? We want to marry, I want to marry, I want to marry, I want to marry. They want to marry one person. O king. Saubhari Muni looks at the king. You said, whichever daughter agrees to marry me, you will get me married. What do you say now? Then the king had no option. All the 50 daughters of the king was married. Now, with his power, he builds beautiful houses with all the ornaments, with all the infrastructure, with everything in all the 50 houses. Everything available, with the servants, with everything. He was so powerful. And after enjoying for a number of years, each wife had 10 children, and the whole houses, that itself had become like a big city. One day, he was sitting and he was thinking, in my heart, still that enjoyment is not satisfied. What is the use? Where from this has come? I was such a nice person, doing austerities in the water, and what happened to me? Why I suddenly had fallen down? Oh my God! I am a fallen down person. The whole world, look at me. He says, this is the most important change in his life. Aho imam pashyata me vinasham. Whole world, look at me. I am a fallen down person. I was practicing within the water, observing all the rules and regulations. I lost the results of my long austerities simply by the association of the sexual affairs of the fish. Everyone should observe this fall down and learn from it. Now he says, enough is enough. I am going to the forest to practice the austerities in total Krishna consciousness. My dear wives, you want to come? Kindly come with me. Otherwise not. But the wives were very sincere. They go along with him, and he moves into the forest, practices the sincere Krishna consciousness, and he goes back to the Godhead. The point is, the moment the soul comes in contact with the material nature, it is infected with the material disease. We all are having the material disease of trying to enjoy, forgetting Krishna. Forgetting the Supreme Lord, we want to enjoy. This disease, if it is left unattended, it makes us to remain here on this earth for years together. Because our strength, our power is so less, we cannot actually achieve, we cannot actually fix our mind on the Supreme Lord. So we have to pray to the Lord, just like here, 5:19-15, we see the prayer of prayers to the Sankarsana. Therefore, O Lord, O Transcendence, kindly help us by giving the power to execute Bhakti Yoga so that we can control our restless mind and fix them upon you. We are all infected by your illusionary energy. Therefore, we are very attached to the body, which is full of stool and urine, and to anything related with the body. Except for devotional service, there is no way to give up this attachment. Therefore, kindly bestow upon us this benediction. Tanne prabhotvam kukale vararpitam. This sloka we have to by heart, and every day we have to chant this 5, 19, 15 so that we move ahead in the life. Otherwise, if we are after money, money, house, car, even after death, as a ghost, we will be after them. We can never achieve, we can never satisfy. If we are after Krishna, then everything will come automatically. This is the basic fundamental logic. Otherwise, if we leave ourselves, then we are totally in this janma mrityu cycle, birth and death, again and again, moving in 84 lakh species, again and again. There is no change. We cannot come out of this cycle of birth and death unless and until we realize that we have forgotten Krishna. When we realize and when we are fully Krishna consciousness, then we can come out of this life cycle of birth and death. Otherwise not. So it is most important for us to know that body is different, we are different, we are soul, we have got this body just like any cloth, any garment is worn on the body. This body is temporary and the soul is permanent. Unless we totally dedicate ourselves and surrender unto the Supreme Lord, we cannot come out of the janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi, birth, death, old age and the disease. So, to become Krishna conscious, the very first step is to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and continue chanting as many rounds as possible with minimum 16 rounds. As we keep on chanting, our mind will get cleared and we definitely go back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. So if you have some questions, we can discuss.